All right, welcome back to WMAC Now with your host, Chuck Stevenson, coming at you with a special announcement. So as you can see right in front of you, Invicta FC is finally back. 5 months after their last event, they're going to be putting on Invicta 45, Zappitella versus Delboni 2. It's going to go down on Wednesday, January 12th at the Police Athletic League in Kansas City, Kansas. A new day for Invicta, Wednesday. I don't mind midweek MMA. Certainly don't mind it at all. I think it could be a good thing for Invicta to choose a different day because, I mean, let's face it, everybody and their mother puts events on Fridays and Saturdays. You got to try to do something to differentiate yourself. So I don't mind an event on a Wednesday at all. Glad Invicta is back. Not going to be the best card, at least on paper, but I can see some bright spots here and there in it. And there's certainly some familiar names on this card as well to both Invicta fans and, fans who mostly only pay attention to like the UFC and whatnot. It's not the best card, but I think it'll turn out all right. I think it'll be a good one for Invicta. I mean, there's some good mixes of styles here. Every fighter has at least 2 fight experience, so we're not getting any debutantes on this event, and we're getting a good rematch for the atomweight championship in the main event. So I'm not going to go too in depth into each and every fight here. Just going to talk a little bit, go over the basics of each one for this video because I want to keep it kind of short. I don't want to go too long on this one. So first fight on the card is going to be a bantamweight bout. Maria Jose Favela versus Sarah Chucky Kleeczka. So Favela comes in at 2-1. Kleeczka comes in at 2-3. Now both ladies are coming in off of losses here. Favela lost to Josie Stort 6 months ago. Kleeczka is actually riding a 3-fight win streak, or excuse me, losing streak coming into this fight. 2 of those losses came to Invicta several years ago, and then she just came back a few weeks back and lost a split decision. Excuse me. I honestly don't remember watching either of these ladies fight before, even though I watch every Invicta event. So I'm going to have to go back and watch on this one. But it's a bantamweight bout. The bantamweight division desperately needs, younger up-and-coming prospects. These two are they're both 28 years old, so that's still pretty young. Definitely a needed fight for this division. Then we have a featherweight bout. Courtney King taking on Ramona Pasquel. The Lion King comes in at 4-2. Pasquel comes in at 5-2. Now King is coming off the loss to Kayla Harrison a year ago. Hasn't fought since then. She was riding a nice 3-fight win streak before that. Pasquel is riding 3 straight wins, going all the way back almost 4 years. Most recently fought for Icon 6 months ago, picking up a key lock armbar submission. So Pasquel is someone I've had my eye on for quite a while. She has some good experience, some good wins, and she's one of the fighters in the UFC Performance Institute Academy program. She was over in Shanghai, and then she moved over to Las Vegas in order to get fights more readily. I believe she's still with the Academy program. I don't think that's changed. She's definitely at the Performance Institute on a regular basis, but she's getting most of her training done with Syndicate MMA. So definitely going to keep an eye on this one. This is at featherweight too. Now Pasquel has fought at bantamweight in the past. Like to see her move back down there eventually if she can, but featherweight needs fights as well. Then we have a strawweight bout. Hilary Rose taking on UFC veteran Emily Whitmire. Rose coming in at 5-3. Whitmire coming in at 4-5. Both ladies coming into this fight off of losses. Rose lost to Elise Reed 6 months ago. Before that, had a nice KO win herself. Now, Whitmire, of course, just got released from the UFC after losing 3 straight. Last fought 2.5 months ago, losing to Hannah Goldie via armbar. This is a good fight for Whitmire to possibly rebuild herself, get back on the road, back to the UFC if that's in her goals. For Reed, she fought on the Contender Series at one point over a year ago. She's the one that lost to Cheyenne Blissmas, and then has been with CFFC since then. Good chance for her to, possibly build her way back up to, either another Contender Series shot or even straight into the UFC as well. So, pivotal fight for both of these ladies in the strawweight division. Then we move back up to bantamweight. Monica Franco taking on Haley Cowan. Fearless Franco coming in at 2-0. All hail Haley Cowan coming in at 5-2. Franco undefeated, of course, as a pro, and last fought a year and 10 months ago in Invicta. Haley Cowan, she's actually been an LFA product for, I believe, all of her career up to this point as a pro. Yeah, all of her fights up to now have come with LFA. Now, she's coming off a loss a year and 3 months ago, so neither of these ladies have had any fights recently. Surprised Cowan took the Invicta route because, you think if you're trying to get into the UFC that at this point, it seems like LFA is an easier route to the UFC than Invicta, but honestly, I'm still a bigger fan of the matchmaking style that Invicta does. I think Invicta builds overall better prospects than LFA does. LFA just likes to sign, just likes to, give fighters easy wins up until the point they get signed. And then they get to the UFC and they're challenged a lot harder than the fighters that go through the Invicta, don't want to call it grinder, the Invicta gauntlet, the pipeline, as it were, the process. So get to see Cowan test herself against a less experienced but still undefeated fighter who has that Invicta experience. So looking forward to this one. And hey, like I said, bantamweight needs fights. Then sticking with bantamweight, we're going to the co-main event. Invicta veteran Guthrie taking on UFC veteran Lauren Muller. The Grizzly Guthrie coming in at 3-1. Princess Tiger Muller coming in at 5-4. Now, Guthrie is on a 2-fight run. Picked up a win in LFA 10 months ago, and then most recently fought for Invicta, picking up a decision win over Juliana Miller 6 months ago. That was a good fight, too. Now, Muller, she's been having a rough go of it. Started out 5-0, and then has lost 4 straight, getting cut from the UFC after the third, coming to Invicta and losing a split decision to Serena De Jesus 3 months ago. So this is a good fight for Guthrie to make a name for herself. Beating an Invicta veteran always looks good on your record. For Muller, this is possibly do or die. You don't want to go from 5-0 to 5-5 as a pro. You get to that point, your career is largely done. So Muller desperately needs a win here. Again, I'm happy that we're getting another bantamweight bout. I just don't feel that bantamweight is right for Muller. She wasn't the strongest at flyweight, and she came up to bantamweight. We saw how small she looked compared to Serena De Jesus in her last bout. And she was just outlanded, out-muscled, out-strength, everything. Like, I worry for someone who showed promise earlier in her career and then now is dealing with this losing streak. I'm just not sure the bantamweight is the right weight class for her compared to, say, Claire Guthrie, who's been there since the beginning. So then we move on to the main event title bout rematch. Alicia Zappitella taking on Jessica Delboni. Delboni challenging for the title for the second time. Now, she challenged Zappitella for the title last year, lost via split decision that a lot of people, including myself, disagreed with that decision. But Delboni, she got right back into it. The very next month, she entered the Invicta Atomweight Phoenix Series, picked up 3 wins in one night to earn this title shot. 6 months after that, we're back. Of course, Zappitella, half pint, she's riding a 4-fight winning streak, including winning the title over Ashley Cummins and then defending it against Delboni. I think this fight is Delboni's to lose. I'll be honest. I think she is the rightful champion. I think she should have won the fight the last time. It was a close fight, and Delboni definitely showed a little bit too much respect to Zappitella's striking. We know she can stop Zappitella's takedowns. I don't think Zappitella had a single successful takedown. She might have had one in that first fight, but certainly don't remember her landing more than one. Delboni using the sprawl very well to stop Zappitella's takedowns. I saw Zappitella say on Instagram that she's been studying tape for the last 6 months, watching Delboni, and basically the plan is that she is going to beat her to the punch, and she is going to take her down. She's going to have to bring something different, definitely going to have to bring something different than what she brought in the first fight, because what she brought in the first fight was not working. I mean, 2 judges gave her the fight. I still disagree with that decision, but this is the only fight I'm going to make an early pick on. I'm picking Delboni here. I think that she knows she can beat Zappitella. She knows she can stop the takedowns, and once you know you can stop the takedowns against a wrestler, you can be a lot more confident in your striking. And that's what Delboni needs to do. She needs to be a lot more confident in her striking. She needs to be the one pushing the pace here, backing Zappitella up. Zappitella, she's got to do the same thing. She needs to be the one pushing the pace, putting the pressure on Delboni. I just have a hard time seeing her doing better in this fight. For Zappitella, she's a very small fighter. She's 4'11". And, sometimes she can use her size well, and in other times she just seems to have no answer for, a height or a reach disadvantage. And particularly in the striking. I think that's going to be the key for Delboni. She needs to use her 2-inch height advantage and 2-inch reach advantage and keep Zappitella on the outside at all times. One thing I saw, Zappitella plans to move up to strawweight after this fight. I think that is going to be a bad mistake for her. I mean, she's barely getting through fights as an atomweight. I mean, she's winning very questionable decisions as an atomweight and struggling against, fellow small fighters. You're going to move up to strawweight and face bigger fighters. I mean, not just bigger, like taller, but also heavier hitting. I think that'll be a mistake for her. I think she needs to stick to atomweight and try to get, once the world goes back to normal from the current situation, look for fights overseas. Because that's, if you're an atomweight, you want to fight internationally, look to fight overseas. I realize that, there's bigger potential money at strawweight trying to get into the UFC, but she's not going to cut it as a strawweight. That's just all there is to it. So there you have it. A first initial quick look at Invicta FC 45. Like I said, it goes down on Wednesday, January 12th in Kansas City, Kansas. Should be on Access TV and I believe YouTube. We'll pick up the broadcast for those who aren't, who don't have access to Access TV, which is basically everybody that doesn't have DirecTV at this point. Like I said, not a bad event, not great, but this is the state of Invicta at this point. We still have yet to see long-term effects of the buyout of Invicta by Anthem. I mean, they moved to Access, which means a lot less people were able to watch it than when it was on Fight Pass. Granted, you have to pay for Fight Pass, but at least everyone has the option to watch it on Fight Pass. Whereas on Access, if your provider doesn't carry it, you don't have an option to watch it. So then Invicta had to go to YouTube to be able to broadcast the fights. And then they had that pay-per-view that had no business being on pay-per-view at that price point. I think that was a big mistake, and I think they're not still going to go forward with pay-per-view events in the future. Not this one, but they apparently Invicta still plans pay-per-view events in the future. I think that's dumb. There's not a pay-per-view market for this event, at least not at the price point they want to do it at. So long-term, Invicta's prospects still up in the air at this point, but at least we're getting an event now after 5 freaking months of absolutely nothing. I think they should have had an event last month in November to coincide with the release of Bruised. Use that publicity. But that's just my opinion. Anyway, this video went longer than I wanted it to, so we're going to go ahead and get done here. Let me know your thoughts on the event in the comments down below. If you liked the video, please give it a like, share it as well, spread the news on this event, help the channel grow as well. And while you're at it, go ahead and subscribe to WMMA Scene Now. Most complete women's mixed martial arts dedicated platform on YouTube. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.